What's up, guys? I wanted to start out by showing you the way that I like doing keyword research specifically for local SEO campaigns. It's not a national keyword. If you're working with a client that is a local business, we're going to use tree removal services as an example, then you don't necessarily care about ranking for somewhere that they don't service the area anyway. So we're going to focus on local SEO and the way that we're going to target businesses or people that are looking for us, depending on what the client or customer is, in your local area or in the client's local area. So we're going to start out. I've got links to all these tools. This is KW Finder. It's an awesome tool by Mangools. I've got a link to it below this video. So check this out. We're just going to start with tree removal service near me. This allows you to say where you're going to search for it. I'm going to say Athens, Georgia, the city. Athens, Georgia, United States, the city. So because that's where I live. This is, I'm going to do a little preliminary research for some rank and rent stuff, but so it'll have dual purposes for me, but that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to leave it set to any language, but you can certainly change it if you wanted to. I'm just going to say any language, tree removal service near me, and I'm going to put in my local area, and then I'm going to hit find keywords. By the way, we'll come back to this later, but search by domain is a great way to get keyword ideas based on another site, like a competitor's website. You can get some great ideas for additional keywords. So we're going to go here, tree removal service near me, and now a couple things that I like to do. First off, this search volume right here, it's an estimate. It's not going, like there's not exactly 10 people that search for this every month. It's an estimate, and it just basically gives you some ranges. The more localized you have for something, especially something that's like real niche oriented like tree removal services, the lower your search volume is going to be. If I were to back that out to anywhere and I were to run it, you'll see that that search volume is going to go through the roof. So tree removal service near me, 15,500 searches per month. I don't really care about that because my client, if I'm in Athens, Georgia, I don't care if somebody in Chicago is searching for tree removal services. They're not going to help. So we're going to, first filter we're going to use is the location filter. Now, a couple other filters that I like to use. Because this is a search volume, and it's a range, we'll get some that say NA, and it just means that usually, like tree moving service, it just means that that did not get enough searches to warrant them keeping track of it. So first thing I'm going to filter is going to be, I want a minimum of search volume of 10. So I'm going to set that filter. And so also note that if I just click on this, it'll sort them. We're going to come back to that in a second. Next thing is, well, we'll come back to this because you see keyword difficulty, sometimes it doesn't have it. You've got to click it. And if you click it, it'll do the scan for you. So if I were to try to set my filter prior to clicking all of these, then I would end up filtering these out if I set a minimum or a maximum. So Dave's tree service, I don't need. Tree and bush removal service. You can come through and you can see any of them that you're interested in. And basically you can just go through and try to figure out where they are. Now, so additional filters. If it goes up to 30, this is what they call, like for instance, if I click on this, you'll see that it says still easy, okay? So outside of the green, so if it's real green, that means it's very easy. It'll just say easy. If it's the lighter green, it says that it's still easy. If it goes above 30, then the keyword difficulty becomes what they call still possible. So I'm actually going to set a filter on this because my goal here is to show the client some big wins as quickly as possible. So I'm going to set a keyword max difficulty of 30 and set my filter. Now that I've got those filters set, I want to sort this by my search volume. So if I click it once and you see the arrow is down, it means that as you go down the list, the value goes down. If I were to flip that, as you go down the list, the values go up. So I want the top trend at the top. And you see this trend. This is pulling from Google Trends. It's basically telling you that there are times throughout the year that become peak times for people that are searching for this, as you would expect. People in January probably aren't looking quite as much as people in the middle of summer. If it's a tree service, they don't necessarily care because that's what they're trying to rank for, but you get the point. You can see where it would be important to rank during better parts of the year when they're going to be more seasonably busy. So now that I've got tree service near me, I have the... I've got to start here, okay? I've got to start on some things that I want to rank for. So I'm going to pull up another Google Sheet. Also will be linked to in the below this video. But I'm going to pull up a Google Sheet. I'm going to put them side by side. That way you can see exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so now I've got this competition research, and basically what I'm doing is on my services page or my keywords, we're going to do some keyword research, and we're going to list out what we would do for our service page. So just to keep this clean, we've got our service page, which is going to include our seed keyword, and our seed keyword is going to be whatever we want to rank for. And so for this, even though I searched for tree removal service near me, I found out quickly that tree service near me has 60 search volume versus 10. So it's got 6 times the search volume. So I'm actually going to change my seed keyword to tree service near me. And now what I've done is I've gone for additional terms, things that are also going to be pertinent to anybody looking for tree service or tree service near me. So tree removal near me, tree removal service, tree cutting service, emergency tree removal, emergency tree service. And what I've done is gone through here and identified all of these that are going to have some search volume. I like to start at the top because they've got more searches, and also the keyword difficulty is within the range that I am trying to rank. Some other things that I do is I add additional service pages. I normally get those ideas in here, like stump grinding and stump removal. So stump grinding near me has 10, stump removal has 10. So I will actually probably change this to stump grinding and removal. And so I would say stump grinding, stump removal, and I'd have to do some additional, we'll talk about this in a second, but I will have to find some additional topics to talk about. Shrub trimming was also in here. If you scroll through here, there's a couple of low-hanging fruit, like tree pruning services, right? So tree pruning services near me. All right. Emergency tree removal, we already talked about. Tree stump grinding, tree trimming, tree limb removal. We may actually do a separate one about tree limb removal. Don't have to have all these services, but it's just I'm just giving you an idea of how we can go about this. So arborist tree service, tree and shrub pruning service. So you get the point. So like if I was doing, this would be tree and shrub pruning, tree and bush removal. That might go in with tree limb removal. You'll see that things like there was some low-hanging fruit here. By the way, I can sort by keyword difficulty and reverse sort it. Granted, it's still got all these that we haven't looked up yet, but look at this. So poison ivy removal services or service near me. So that's a 7. That would be extremely easy to rank for. It's a way to at least get somebody on your site, and if they've got poison ivy, maybe they also have some trees that need to be removed. Stump grinding companies near me, we're going to put that up here. You get the point. So I'm going to stick with the tree service near me just so we don't have to repeat this process for the sake of the length of the video. But I'm going to go to another tool called alsoasked.com. There's a bunch of these. There's Ask the Public. There's a bunch of them. So when I'm here, I'm going to say tree service. US. And you see here that it will go through and it will actually say, so tree service, right? How much does it cost to service a tree? These questions are actually coming from Google. If I were to create a search and I go to the section called People Also Ask, how much does it cost to service a tree? How much does it cost to clean a tree? So it's going to find, based on your region, it's going to find all these different answers. Like, how much does it cost to clean a tree? How much does it cost to service a tree? That's where we're finding that. You'll also get related searches that it'll pull this information in. And so, like, for an example off tree service, how much does it cost to service a tree? Well, if you were to search for how much does it cost to service a tree, people also ask, what is the best time of year to trim a tree? Is it cheaper to trim or a tree or cut it down? The reason this is important is because when we go to structure our on page, and that's not what this tutorial is, but this gives us what our H2 tags can be. And so if we're doing a thorough job with our keyword research, this also gives us some great ways to fit those ancillary topics, those add-on keywords, or what we call additional qualifying keywords, it gives us some ways to fit them in to a properly formatted page and use them inside of a tool. For instance, like if you use Surfer SEO, it'll tell you the keyword density that you need to be using it for. So this is an awesome tool, highly recommended. I'll have a link to this as well. But the keyword research, that is basically our process. Now that we've identified some target keywords, what are we going to do with it? Well, let's take tree service near me. And we've got, I've filtered out a bunch of things, so I'm trying to get back to the top here. Okay, tree service near me. Now, I'm going to be looking for the search volume, the cost per click, the pay-per-click, and the keyword difficulty. Well, I have all those right here, so I'm just going to say 60, 476, 51, and 20. Now, let's walk through what these are. Search volume we've already talked about. CPC is your estimated cost per click. It's in other words, if I was advertising on Google and I was trying to advertise for tree service near me, and you were to click on my ad, it on average in Athens, Georgia would cost me $4.76. Stump grinding, as an example, would cost $3.92. It's using the Google Keyword Planning tool to receive these. They're just estimates, but that is your average. Go over one more and you've got your level of competition in pay-per-click. That's basically a representation of how many people are bidding on that word. Now, it doesn't mean that tree cutting service near me, 86 people are bidding on it. What it means is 86 out of 100 is the competition score. It means it's very competitive in the paid ad campaign section. Usually, there will be some kind of correlation between these two numbers. Usually, the more people that are bidding on it, the higher the bid is going to cost them because, again, they're bidding against more people. And then your keyword difficulty is an internal thing that Mangles has come up with. It's calculated between your link profile strength, which is also one of their internal scores. It basically will consider from both Majestic and Moz and some other resources the ranking strength of the other businesses you're going to compete against. So we'll come back to that. But your keyword difficulty is essentially how many how many backlinks you're going to need and what quality backlinks you're going to need according to Mangles. And so it just gives us a pretty good indication of how competitive that term is. The lower that number, the easier it is going to be for us to rank, especially with a new website. So we've got tree service near me. I can actually take these, bring them over here, paste them transposed. And so now tree removal service near me is a 10. We'll skip that, a 29, and a 20. Okay. And then tree removal service. Tree removal service near me. That's going to be a 10. Skip it, a 29, and a 20. Tree cutting service is a 10, 86, lots of competition there, and a 20. Emergency tree removal, we're going to have a 10, a 17. Emergency tree service, we're going to have a 10, 14, and a 20. Okay, so we've got some of this key. And by the way, I would just repeat this exercise for all of the ancillary topics off all of my service pages, but you get the point here. So what I've just done is I've found that on these I've got a total search volume of 110 people. This is monthly. So 110 people on average per month in my area of Athens, Georgia are searching for a combination of these search terms. So I need to rank a page, my tree service page. I need to rank it really well with all those search terms. So we'll do other videos on how you might organize that content, how you might structure that content. But this is my keyword difficulty. So I like these. I like these keywords a lot. It's got if I got a third or even 25% of the total search volume to at least call me and give a shot at it, and I think based on the average keyword difficulty that I could certainly do that, then you're going to have a pretty decent amount of business. Just to recap something, if we were to say out of that 110, let's say we got 20 phone calls. Now that 20 phone calls, we got 10 jobs. If average tree removal is $3,500, let's say they operate at a 50% margin, and I got 10 of those. That's $17,500 a month that I'm either generating. If it's my business, that's mine. That's profit. That's not your revenue. That's profit. So if you're operating a 50% margin, which tree removal services usually do, refer back to our prospecting video on why we target certain companies so that we can have this high lifetime value. It gives them a great return on investment. But if I'm charging if somebody's making $17,500 a month off of a combination of these tree services, you think they're mad if they pay me $3,000 a month? Probably not. So anyway, refer back to our prospecting video, but that's the basics of how we do the competition, the keyword research. We would go through and we would identify low-hanging fruit based off of our service pages. We'd organize them into categories like tree services or tree removal services, stump grinding, shrub trimming, poison ivy removal, tree pruning, limb removal, etc. You get the point. A lot of these tree services also like sell mulch. They will do landscaping sometimes. So this is how I like to go about identifying great low-hanging fruit when it comes to my keywords, and really just gives a shining light on what all you can do. Now, furthermore, inside of Mangools, just to recap this, if I were to go in here and click on one, like for instance this one, you see the trend blown up a little bit. It's just representative of this, but also you see the SERPs, the SERP overview. And so it can be a different video, or we can fit it in just briefly, but you can see on here that, for instance, Yelp, Angie's List, Home Advisor, those are not actual tree removal companies. They're just reviews. Monster Tree Service is, Athens Arborist is, Porterfield Stump and Removal. So these are our actual competitors. If you were going to use something like Surfer SEO for writing the content that we've identified we need to have written, those would be the ones that you would want to compare your to. 3 Best Rated is not. Bear's Tree Service is. Layton's Tree Service is. So those are your competition, right? If we were to go analyze that SERP, what it's going to do is bring it up in SERP Checker. Again, if you buy the Mangools service pack, you get all of their SEO tools all in one. So your subscription is, it doesn't just get you like Keyword Finder, KW Finder, or SERP Checker or SERP Watcher. It gets you all of them. But if you were to go in here, you can analyze this and you can see a couple of different really, really cool features. One, you see the keyword difficulty, which was on the last one. 2, the SERP features impact. So your SERP features impact tells you how many additional search engine result page features are in there. And this one, it just shows that there's Google ads for the top 2. Sometimes you might get a Maps 3-pack or additional ads, and it would have a higher impact. But basically, this is telling you, out of the additional features that Google's throwing in there, what impact is it going to have on the search results page? And then it's got number of results. This is 3 billion numbers of results, so that's virtually irrelevant. You can actually get a snapshot and you can show it both on desktop and on mobile. You can see it where you can save it as an image, or you can export all the information to a CSV if it's easier for you to work that way. Very cool. I like this a lot. This tells me a lot more about, like, for instance, if I wanted to try to take this #1 spot, I'm going to have to beat Yelp. Yelp has a domain authority of 93. The page that they're ranking to has a page authority of 46. That's not going to be easy to outrank with the domain authority that they have. It tells you the number of links, people that are linking to it. It tells you all kinds of different things about it. Very, very helpful for us to understand where in this maps pack or in this SERP we might be able to land. Just like we mentioned, Yelp, Angie's List, Home Advisor, those are not tree removal services in Athens, Georgia. Monster Tree Service, Athens Arborist, Porterfield Stump, they are. Monster Tree Service is a franchise. They're a really big tree company. They've got a 37. That one's going to be the hardest actual competitor to overcome, but take a look at how much easier it gets from there. So from there, we've got Athens Arborist, which is a 12, which is ranking, and Porterfield Stump and Tree is a 10 that's ranking. And keep in mind that to beat a 37, that doesn't mean we have to necessarily be a 38. It would certainly be easier to do it, but it means that there's going to be that ratio of how optimized is your content versus the strength of the domain authority. which is a vanity metric that Moz came up with, but it is relevant. It's the number of backlinks, not just to that specific page, but to that site in general. It also includes their citation flow and their trust flow from Majestic. We've got links below to all kinds of information that you can read about how those are calculated. But the main point is this gives you a really good indication of who you're going to be actually competing with and the strength that your site is going to need to have. Now, one last thing to think about on that. When we have a search term that we're looking for and we see all 93, 91, 89, 86, 84, 91, and like your top 10 is all in the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's going to be really hard to break into that first page. But when we see things on the first page for a term with like a 10 for your domain authority at 11, that means that there's actually room for competition here. It means with some really good optimized content, some good domain and page authority, and some backlinks to the page, that we can actually break into this first page, start stealing some of that. That it would be exponentially better if we were able to get it into the 3-pack, which, the domain relevancy, the domain authority is going to have a lot to do with that, along with your geographic relevancy. So I hope that helps you. That is how I use Mangool's KW Finder to identify and do some quick research on the different ways that we can identify low-hanging fruit for our services, whether it's rank and rent or whether it's a client's website that you're trying to rank. That's how we go about it. I hope that helps, guys. Next, we're going to take a look at how we identify our competition and see exactly what it's going to take to outrank them.